The first thing you should know about my friend Andrew is that when a hailstorm damaged his car, he had it repaired immediately. I happen to know this because my car was next to Andrew's during that storm, but I'm still driving around with hail damage more than 2 years later. Andrew takes care of his stuff, his business, and his reputation with a vigilance that sometimes borders on mania. It might make you think he's a materialistic person. The next thing you should know about Andrew is that I've rarely seen him as happy as the day he sold that car. He didn't replace it. He downsized. He doesn't want a car or a microwave or much of anything beyond what he needs for daily survival and contentment. This detachment is a big part, but only the beginning, of why I call him my personal Buddha.
The first thing you should know about my friend Mrs. Filholm is that she's buying a house. The last time this happened was more than 20 years ago. I wasn't there, but I can assume that she was very conflicted about the decision. I imagine a cartoon devil and angel duking it out on her shoulder, except instead of good and evil, it's her maternal instinct versus her creative genius. One is worried about baby-proofing, while the other imagines her dream home as having enough space to leave power tools out, always ready for use. The second thing you should know about my friend Mrs. Filholm is that her boys have grown up and left the nest. Baby-proofing is no longer an issue, and functional space for creating sick art is priority number one. When her realtor asked her for a list of must-haves, it didn't include the number of bedrooms or bathrooms. In fact, there is only one thing on the list: outbuildings. Mrs. Filholm's dream house is actually more of a dream shed. Welcome to Half My Age, a weekly show in which a 25-year-old adult and a 50-year-old child help each other make sense of the world. What do you want to talk about today?
I am buying a house, and last night I went and did comedy, which is so fun. I'm working on a set now, so I did it twice. I did it.
Wait a minute. You're buying a house and you have time to go do comedy?
Sorry.
You're not just sitting twiddling your thumbs and worrying about this massive financial decision you're making?
Yeah, no, I so am. It's been hard to sleep lately because of the amount of money things I've had to do, thoughts about insurance, reading so much paperwork, doing so many electronic signatures, Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Are you DocuSigning?
Yeah, I'm DocuSigning. Like a mofo. Okay, so that's right. This is related to that. I'm buying a house, and so because I have this deep, deep level of anxiety, I think we talked about it last week, honestly, my therapist prescribed me to go do stand-up because it, as we
get the best prescriptions.
I have the best therapist.
I remember once upon a time you went to see a doctor.
Witch doctor? My witch doctor?
Yeah, I don't know if he's a doctor, but you called him the witch doctor. And he gave you a prescription. It sounded like he took out an official-looking prescription pad, and he wrote something on there, which was, do more pottery. And that was for your health.
For my health. And it kind of is true, isn't it? And that's right. Now I don't have my pottery studio, so that is something I do for my health. And I don't know, for some reason it seems a little less unhinged than going out and doing comedy. But it, as I have discussed...
Well, dire times call for dire measures.
That's right. I don't have my studio right now, but I'm about to get one. What? So that's right. As I have discussed, I get to name and claim my anxiety. I wrap it up in a little ball because, I am low-key anxious a lot of the time. I have been waking up in the middle of the night. Things like the house passed inspection with flying colors. It was fantastic. But I woke up that very night going, oh, there's no coat closet in that house. And there's an issue with the furnace. And they said, you're probably going to have to pay extra eventually to get a new furnace because it's a crawl space. It's an old house and it's very difficult to get to. So then I was lying awake at like 3 a.m. going, I don't know what that crawl space looks like. Like, how difficult? How difficult is it to get a furnace down there? I can't picture it. Why didn't I follow the inspector down into the crawl space? It's my house. I feel like I should see that crawl space. And I will. So, there's a lot of that low-key anxiety and difficulty sleeping. So the prescription was go do stand-up comedy. She said, sometimes people I tell, run 10 miles for you. It's a similar thing. Go get your anxiety out. And I get to get better. It's been really fascinating. I started with a new set. Last Friday.
Honestly, new set?
Yeah. Nobody... I should stop talking about the details of comedy. I think that's clear to me when I listen to playback. So I'm going to only tell the interesting parts of the story.
Okay. Just tell us the interesting parts. But I really enjoy the inside the actor's studio aspect of talking to someone who gets out and goes and does stand-up comedy.
Andrew, you got to show up if you want to be seen. You know, I'm out there. Friday night, I did a thing I have never done, and I was so proud. And you would have been proud if you still weren't, tired, domesticated, hardworking man, and you could still go out and see comedy. I wrote my set at about 5:00, and I did not write it word for word. And I very much knew that I was going to consult my notes if I needed to. I didn't, and I knew that I sort of had an outline, but I did not, like I said, usually, I'm word for word, and I beat myself up if I don't get the exact word because it's that timed. And I realized this is what this stuff is for. That's what these open, and I see people do it all the time. So I trusted just doing that. It was so fun. And I can hear it now and go, yeah, that's not a good set. I wouldn't share it with many people because it's not a finished set. But there I was with live people seeing, again, where are the warm responses? It's not like people are dying laughing. It's at Three Kings at, 7 to 8 o'clock on Friday night. Are they homeless or are they comedians? It's hard to tell in that joint, right? Anyway, so I was really proud of myself for doing that. Like I went and did a set I hadn't really rehearsed and had only kind of put together. And then I went, all right, next time I go up, it'll be better. And it was. And so that was last night. I went to the earlier set, did it. It was better. Listened to it on the ride home. Yep, know what to do. Went home between sets because then there's going to be the later night show. I took my version of a nap. Like I made myself actually lie on the couch on my back.
Your version of a nap?
And I let my eyes close and I relaxed everything. And then I went, maybe I fell asleep for that who?
Sure.
The drop the spoon nap? Who said that? Charles Darwin. Anyway, I gotta look it up. Anyway, like if the nap that you fall asleep just enough to drop your spoon in your hand, that's the perfect amount. That's for me, that's kind of great. I feel revived. Checked in with myself. Do I want to go do this late night set? Yeah, okay, I'll go do it. Drove myself down there, did the set out loud on the way, and went, yeah, no, this kills. This is awesome. This feels great. I'm ready to do it. I'm excited to do it. I got there. The normal host wasn't there. It was starting super late. The guy who normally videotapes it wasn't there, which is part of the reason I like that show because I get a visual that isn't from my iPhone. It all felt very weird, and like I was literally the first comic there. I hadn't gotten some intel on how this was starting late because of some reasons that I think I know because of another event. And I drank half a beer and went, what the hell am I doing here? I turn into a pumpkin at a certain point. I got to get home. I have a mortgage to pay and paperwork to sign and an appraisal tomorrow. So I did what I felt like was the very adult thing and went, I showed up. I tried. I was there. I would have done it. And I went, I don't think it's healthy right now. I think I need to go home and get some sleep.
Wait a minute. You went to the place and you had a prescription from your doctor to get
I'd already gone up once that night. Remember that?
Oh, this is round 2.
That was round 2. So I forget. I went, bummer. I'm not going to be as relaxed, but it can wait. Anyway, I thought that was an adult, prudent decision.
I often wonder when I'm thinking about all those people who go up there with their little notebooks and they make a joke and then they're furiously writing good, bad, whatever they're writing up there. I wonder if there's people out there who go and try out material at open mic comedy nights and then sell it to other comedians. Does that exist?
Absolutely, yeah, sure. I don't know who still does that in this day and age, but sure. Joke writers, yeah, absolutely. Or you're testing out stuff and then you're eventually going to use that because you're writing for a sitcom on TV. Yeah, absolutely. That's a way to try. The truth is open mic is such a gift because it gives you a place to go and work stuff out. Last night at a certain place, I saw a musician who maybe just thought it was an open mic. There are those.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, when I was on Maui, I was looking if there was a comedy night I was going to go, and there wasn't. But there was a couple of like open mic, but it very much was, play your guitar, sing folk songs. Anyway, that guy went up and he was really, really, really bad. And it wasn't supposed to be funny. That's interesting. Anyway, it's a place to go and work it out. But it continues to impress me. Even the people who I sometimes think are not good or whatever, you're in it enough and you see they're all working on it and it gets better. It's very cool to watch other people's sets.
Encouraging.
It is encouraging. It's very cool to watch other people's sets grow.
Cool. I have a recommendation right in the middle of comedy and someone getting up on stage playing guitar. Are you familiar with NPR's Tiny Desk concerts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So today, YouTube recommended that I watch one. It was Steve Martin, and he's got a little band, and he plays the banjo.
Of
And
course, yeah.
they do a lot of very folksy stuff, and then he finishes, no spoilers, with a hilarious song. And it was so much fun to watch. I haven't watched those in a while, but coming back to it was really fun.
Yeah, those are great Tiny Desk concerts. And
Aren't they
Steve
fun?
Martin, come on, full of joy.
I love them.
Do you know that I listened to his comedy records along with my whole generation on a big old album? You'd lie in the living room and just listen to him?
Kind of like Miss Maisel, huh?
Yep.
I
want you to know that I went antique shopping on Saturday with a friend.
Oh, you've got a house to fill with furniture now.
Yeah, but this was just joking around shopping. Like, I almost bought a full-length white fox fur coat because these are these... I'm going to offend all of the people on the planet with this story, but it is...
It's okay, nobody listens.
Nobody listens. I am amused by vintage fur because you can get it so cheap, and it's actually... it's worth so much, and it just cracks me up.
Why is it so cheap? Nobody wants it?
Because it's vintage, and probably people throw blood on you in Colorado. I don't know. But anyway, I almost bought, I'm not kidding, I almost bought until we decided if I were a foot taller, it would be funny, a full-length white fox coat that, it made me look like I had shoulder pads, like a rapper. I look like a tiny rapper.
What's your tiny rapper name?
So, Lil Weezy.
Big Wheezy.
Big Weezy. That'd be funnier, right? It's ironical. Anyway, so we did stuff like that. But there was a coat, vintage clothing. I kind of love it. And that was the thing. It must have been one estate because all of this woman's fur coats fit me exactly. She must have been taller because I couldn't pull that off.
All of them fit you exactly, except she was about a foot taller.
But foot taller, which is about right. That was about my proportions in the world. But really, I wouldn't have had to hem anything. Anyway, there was a Jackie Kennedy bright pink, like more Pepto-Bismol pink than my glasses, but bright pink 60s coat. And I was like, oh my God, look at this. And my friend said, if you want people to stop comparing you to Mrs. Maisel, you should not get that coat. It's not how I look. And yeah, whatever.
So you went antiquing, and they have all these fur coats and clothes in the furniture store. It's all one store.
It's one of those big old, warehousey things where everybody has a stall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Antique mall. Mm-hmm. So everybody has a stall. So there's everything from just crappy kitsch, including like bad crafts that people make to, yeah, we were more into the sort of gray gardens, like old furs. And I bought some sheet music from World War I, like propaganda for buy war bonds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. I like that.
That's for my new house. How are
you gonna frame it? What are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, I'm gonna frame it. It's cute. I could put it in show art. Anyway, so yeah, but the point about antiquing, it was fun. It was just, we just went and tried to find weird stuff at antique stores, and it was just a fun way to mess around on a Saturday and not be anxious about buying my house. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not at the point yet where I can really buy furniture. I could, but what's the point? I think I need to get in there.
You'd have to find something to do with it for...
Yeah, and also, I think I need to get in there. We went and measured on Monday. We went to the...
So is it empty right now?
No.
Okay.
We went for the inspection, and Kim came and measured because that's something she does very well. Not only does she do it for a living and has a professional tape measure, she also has perfect draftsman handwriting. Do you know that about Kim Dreiling?
No, but I believe it.
Yeah, I know. Any other follow-up from you? From last show, we talked a lot about living in hope, and you said you had some deep thoughts on that.
I've been thinking about that a lot. And
getting our hopes up, excuse me.
Unfortunately, I think most of my deep thoughts have gone down the shower drain.
You didn't write them in a notebook?
I sure didn't.
Dang it, they're gone. That's gone. That's ephemera.
Sacrifice that one to the gods.
Forget it.
But I think that what I said, I still feel the same way about in terms of getting your hopes up. Still, to me, feels like it comes from a place of weakness where you have no control over. And it reminds me a lot of the Serenity Prayer.
Yes, you mentioned that.
Give me the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the things I can't.
The serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yep.
That doesn't feel like a powerful place to you?
Hope? No.
No, that's prayer.
That seems, it doesn't seem like it seems empowering, but it doesn't seem powerful. It doesn't seem like you would say, I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to have to write an opening about it because it's such a funny conundrum to me. I think it's possible that we're speaking the same thing. We just have completely different views of it or something, because I see you as taking this, as you said, sort of happy-go-lucky way through life, not expecting too much, not expecting anything.
If we frame this in the context of a home search, which is, I hope that I get a good house. I hope that it doesn't turn out to be a lemon. I hope that it either passes inspection, or if there's major problems, we find them in inspection. These are all kind of small things that can be. I don't have a lot of room for hope in my life.
Nor do you have room for a lot of worry.
Right. That's
so
very
what
true.
it is to me, ultimately, I'm not kidding, and that's where I think you just maybe don't get it yet because you're that far ahead, is that it's detachment. It's the Tao. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations.
Free from desire, you
realize the mystery, and you also are like, I went with it, and you're fine, and you trust. I mean, I think it's sort of a...
What's that from?
The Tao Te Ching. Tao Te Ching, Tao Te King. I don't know how to say it. It's said a lot of different ways. And I speak English, so I'm going to say it wrong. But that, I feel like it's a Buddhist Zen-like thing in the center of you that is an actual detachment from things that most of us don't have. I do. I'm seeing that. I'm hearing that almost like this, like you don't get hooked by either the great, great promise of something nor the great fear of something bad happening. Mm-hmm. Right?
It'll work out. If I really care about it, then I'll make sure it works out.
Do you think that you have cultivated that attitude, or is that just how you see the world?
I think that is the natural conclusion I arrived at, coming from where I came from with all the experiences that I have. I think it's pretty easy to be me. So I've never really had to worry about much or...
I know. What must it be like to be in that little brain of yours? Because even though that's true and correct, and so many of us can say that, I have no reason to be miserable. Most of us don't get it like that, Andrew, on that level. Like, what level of weird are you a superior reincarnated being, though, bruh?
I just don't give a shit.
Partly it's that. Partly it's even Steven. I don't believe that you don't give a shit, though.
I choose my shits carefully.
That's right. You give fewer fucks.
It's kind of like a lot of people don't like to be competitive with me because if I know I can win, then I'm super competitive
Then I sure
about
will.
it. If I think that there's no chance of me winning, then I'm not even going to play.
Me too.
Yeah,
I do get that.
I'm sure that infuriates everyone else.
Yeah.
But that kind of describes a little bit of my approach to life, which is, care about the things that you want to care about.
That's brilliant to carry it that far, though, because I grew up with this very truculent idea, same as you. I am good at so many things. Why should I even worry about bowling? You know what I mean? Although recently I was trying to play pinball with a friend, and I was saying...
I've seen pinball come up twice in the last week. People my age are getting pinball machines.
Do they also get their tarot cards read?
Probably.
Because I asked that friend of mine if he had his tarot card, how many times his tarot card had been read in the past 6 months. 0. Back it up to a year. 0. And he's a guy who might have some he owns pinball machines, you know what I'm saying? So I was playing pinball and I was saying, I'm not good at anything with a ball. And he was going, phrasing. Don't say it that way. It's true, though. I'm bad at sports with a ball, so I don't do them. Do you know how many things I am good at? And I'm happy to tell you about those things. So I get that, but I did not carry it into this wonderful detachment of like, you only have so many hecks to give about things in the world, so place them carefully and don't waste your time on things that don't matter.
Yeah.
I know. You're enlightened beyond your years.
I don't know if I'm enlightened, but we've talked about Econ 101 before, trying to allocate scarce resources.
Yeah, because most Buddhists, that's where they go. Carry on. That's amazing. You're amazing. Yep, carry on.
There's a finite number of fucks you can give, so you've got to place them very, very wisely, carefully.
I know, and you see, the fact that you can, and I can accept in you that the way that you see the world is in this detached way and that you're frame for it is money, not only numbers, but money, doesn't comport, I would think. And it's a delightful thing. My gosh, well, you know what? It's the golden child syndrome, and you're even Steven. I remember hearing the creators of Seinfeld talking about how they decided pretty early on in the show that Jerry would be a winner. He wouldn't be the, which is it, the Schlemiel or the Schlemazel? He wouldn't be the stooge. He'd be the good guy. He'd be the, and usually in comedy, often in comedy, that's not true, right? The lead character, the funny character, is the sad sack. Bad things happen to him.
I don't remember where I heard it, but the Schlemiel is the person who always spills his soup at a party, and the Schlemazel is the person who always has soup spilled on them.
So Costanza, they would be the Schlemazel, and they decided very early on that Jerry would be the Schlemiel and that things would go his way. And there's that episode about he's even Steven. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And like Elaine goes, give me a bill. And she gives her a 20 because she goes and throws it out the window.
Yep.
But then he does get it back in a jacket pocket. And I can't remember if we talked about it last week. We might repeat ourselves sometimes. Oh, the studio audience doesn't care. They forgive us all of it. They're rapt with attention.
Are you going to keep talking about them?
Yeah.
They're right here. They're listening.
I know. It makes me feel intimate with them if we say hi to them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hi,
everybody.
So we might repeat ourselves, but I have had people lately say things to me like, where did you get that optimism? How come where did that come from? What is that, a sense of fate? Why are you so positive when life sucks so badly? Like people saying that to me in a jokey and loving way, but like honestly going, where's that coming from? And that's kind of how I feel about this. Andrew, where is that coming from? Where did you get that like golden mean? Because you're just a golden child.
Well, I've been on the lookout for a while. I had a meeting with a former boss, and he told me something that I still think about, which is I think I'm probably a miserable employee because
Arrogant?
I'm arrogant. That's right.
That is the word that a teacher used to describe you in high school.
And
you come off as arrogant.
That's probably exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think if I really don't watch it, it's definitely a turnoff to a lot of people. And he told me, he said, Andrew, you've never been kicked in the balls. Mm-hmm. You've never had any kind of life-changing crisis. You've never fallen on your ass. You've never whatever. So I'm always on the lookout for that because I know it's going to happen. You can't skate through life forever without one of these. But at 25, somehow I've managed to not have one yet, as far as I know.
I was just talking about that to my therapist, like this idea that don't get too happy because the other shoe is about to drop. And then I'm going, it's cultural and it's religious. At a Jewish wedding, we smash the glass. You know why? Because even at this moment of exquisite joy and happiness for the community and these people, we got to smash that glass to remind us of the destruction of the temple. Don't get, it's ancient Greek. Don't get hubris. Don't get too full of yourselves, you mortals, because the gods will come and strike you down just to show you. Or
it's like knocking on wood, right?
That's right. It's like knocking on wood. What is that? Hubris, I suppose, is the source of it. So I don't know, but I think you're saying, well, you're always looking out for it. When is that other shoe going to fall and some tragedy will happen to me? It's not like your life has been untainted. You personally have never been super sick or failed in any particular way, but it's also not like you've been always given things. I mean, you've worked hard for things. You have made your own destiny in a lot of ways. I mean, you get really great grades in school because you work at school and you care about school. It's easy for you, but you do it. You show up.
Yeah, I do show up. I put a lot of effort into the things that matter to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm glossing over some of the bad things that have happened, but honestly, I think I'm naturally disposed to not dwell on them, to not focus on them.
As we have discussed, you can't even remember them.
I can't even. It's because
it's such a blessing. That's the ultimate thing about your brain. That daily flush or that like regular flush. What do you mean? You're quite a baby. You're like Mr. Scrooge. He wakes up and quite a baby. The whole world is new every day for you, Andrew. The world is new. Gosh, it's a wonderful brain to live in. Lucky me. I get to share some space with you now and again. Lucky to all of us. Thank you for making this podcast and sharing it.
Oh, goodness.
All with us. All right, that's getting too deep. Back up. Do you have any computer follow-up? I sure do.
I've still got my lingering computer issue with the double T's, the double R's, the double Y's. I'm kicking myself. Now that I've got an external monitor, I wish I would have got a Mac Mini.
I don't actually think we admitted that on the air yet because we took a week off between recording to do some production work. Bro. I am so sad about that. And I asked you about that. I even considered getting a iPad thing, and just going into Dongletown and knowing it and, doing one of those wizard setups like that. I have a Mac Mini at work.
Mm-hmm. So update me on your keyboard.
As you know, there was a time that I actually had to write something fast with a deadline, and it was very important to me. It had to do with my house purchase, and I had to write something. And my keyboard was freaking out. I called you, actually, in a kind of emotional state because I didn't want to go back to my MacBook Air for some reason at the time. Anyway, I really felt right then, because I hadn't bought a Logitech keyboard, and I screwed myself. It was doing crazy things like, do you remember what it was doing?
Yeah, it was a totally different brand of crazy. You were pushing like number keys and getting, like periods and commas. I was getting
periods and commas in weird places. So what I did then is I shut that computer off and turned it back on, and it seemed to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Permanently? Have you had the same issue since?
The only thing I have seen since is that I do sometimes insert a period, the full stop mark, but I believe that probably I am inadvertently typing the spacebar twice.
Okay, yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep, that's a thing.
But does that do it? It doesn't do it there. It's not doing it.
It does it. I certainly know that it does do it sometimes.
Sometimes, but I'm right there. I'm on Google Doc. Like the place I've actually noticed it, to me, this is funny that, no, that's a flaw. I was noticing it when I was iMessaging from my computer, which again, I realize in past episodes we talked about how much I love that I can hit my emojis right here in my touch bar. Why do I care about emoji? I mean, that we didn't hit that. Why do I care about emojis? But suddenly I do. That's our language. No, in iMessages, which where I was noticing it today, if I type that spacebar double, it does not insert a period. So it's freaking out. When I'm touching something, punctuation is popping up there. I'm really not loving.
Yeah, I'm unhappy with that. I'm kind of kicking myself. I've never felt sillier for spending, I don't know, $2,500, whatever this damn thing cost.
And add to it the dongles and now a keyboard. I'm so annoyed by it, Andrew. This makes me sad. We were so excited about our new babies. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm always worried that it's going to take a crap and I'm going to be without computer for 2 weeks. And I guess the only thing I can do at that point is buy a new one because I need a computer.
I know it. And I got to tell you that another thing that I feel like has actually happened now, Touch ID Open, which I've gone on record as saying I just love, maybe doesn't always respond the very first time. What? Now, I'm going to test this right now in front of you because I also feel like yesterday I was having difficulty with escape key.
Oh, yeah? I've been using my escape key. I don't even know if you'd call it a key. My escape picture.
My escape image.
Quite a bit, and I haven't had any issues with
escape. I haven't either. I'm going to wipe it off right now so that it's not oily. And make sure, okay, it did it fine. I was actually, as we've talked about, you hit the escape key a lot when you're working in a Squarespace website. And I swear it was giving me a little bit of issue. And that panicked me for just a second. As we discussed before, we didn't even do that on air. That was in our days of deciding what computer to buy. And we talked a lot about that, not manual escape key, and about people, especially of my generation, don't trust that not mechanical thing. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do if the escape key doesn't work?
Right, software is buggy. You're gonna make a software button.
I'm telling you. What do we do? We just keep patching. We just keep buying dongles and extra keyboards.
I have no idea. I'm turned off on the Apple Corporation, and I don't want to give them more money.
Nope.
That seems like the wrong way to punish them is by giving them more money.
Well, luckily they're not the ones making the smartest accoutrement for these machines. It's the secular companies, as Apple calls them, making the dongles and the hubs and the crap that we're buying. Apple isn't making a smart hub. These keyboards are funky, and it freaks me out.
They are funky, and it's so frustrating for a professional machine, for something that we paid an awful lot of money for, and we're now totally beholden to. This computer is the way I make my living, and it doesn't work. That's so frustrating. It's the small things.
It's the small thing. Now, I don't remember if we put this on air or not, and it's okay if we did. Do you think that that's their game? Is that they really do just want to sell us a Grizzle style piece of glass and then always just have your keyboard has nothing to do with. I mean, your keyboard should be extra. They don't even want. I also don't understand.
No, I think.
Do they think we're going to stop typing with our fingers?
Actually,
They do.
they're definitely pushing us towards that. But they profess to have, the interest of creators and all these professional people who use their computer for real stuff that's not Skyping with their grandmother, and they don't show it. The people who use these the most are the ones with the hardest complaints, the most severe complaints. And on the podcast we like, Merlin Mann always says, everything works great until you use it. Mm-hmm. Once you really become a power user and start pushing the thing to its limits, it just falls down.
But that is like, I can see that happening, like to pushing something to its limits. Pushing something to its limits should not involve typing on a typewriter. Like the basic form of modern communication.
We've had keyboards for a long time.
We sure have. This is breaking my heart.
It's so frustrating. I feel you.
Discussed in our first program. We were worried about the keyboard for me because I'm a mess.
Well, I never considered that the keyboard would be just as much of an issue for me as it is for you. You're always making clay. You've got things on your hands. A lot of stuff could get between your keycaps and your keyboard. I was not concerned about myself, but here I am suffering the same way you are.
And it hit you first. That's kind of interesting. It was like the attack came to Andrew first, and that was encouraging and not encouraging, horrible, opposite of encouraging, but it made it seem not personally me who had done it. Also, I would like to point out that your space pen has the rattle and mine does not.
I've solved my rattle. I was trying to be a fancy boy. I went to the store and I got a blue fine-tipped refill because I like a really fine point on my pens.
Ugh. On a ballpoint pen you do? Ugh. Does it rip through your paper?
No. On a space pen, it's magical. It's perfect. But I found out that the this refill cartridge, which came direct from the manufacturer, it's a Fisher refill, it rattled inside my space pen. And I couldn't have a pen that made noise. I was silly. So I switched back to the other, the one that came with the pen. No more rattle.
I think it's because you dropped the pen.
There's no moving parts in this pen. I don't know how it could.
You don't know how you could have dropped it?
No. I don't know how I could cause damage by dropping it.
I don't think it caused damage to the pen. There is a moving part in this pen.
There
are two parts. There are several parts. The part inside that cartridge barrel, I think that it got out of alignment. Did you take that back? Mm-mm. Do you think that it rattled from the second you put it in there?
I couldn't say.
You dropped it. I'm just saying that those were two examples of you breaking your shit before I did. Makes me feel good.
It feels kind of personal.
A little bit. Well, if we can win things, we do. And so I'm trying to win.
You're trying to win having a space pen?
No, I'm trying to win it not breaking stuff.
That one goes to Lisa.
Yeah, exactly.
Point Mrs. Filholm.
How much did it cost?
They're expensive. I think it's $6 and, 50 cents before tax, $7 after tax. It's absurd.
And you went to a store to buy this?
Yeah, here in Denver. There's a, do you know Guiry's? It's kind of a little art supply.
Yeah, I know Guiry's. They should sponsor our fledgling podcast.
They should sponsor.
Guiry's is a dream.
Does it exist places other than Colorado?
I don't know. Let's look it up. I don't know. It feels like it doesn't, right? Where do you go to Guiry's? The one in my hood?
No, there's one down south near 470 and University, and I was in that hood, and I stopped by.
Is there really? Oh yeah, that's right. I have seen that one. It's such a cool store because it's real art supplies. You can get real gold leaf there. You can get really nice pens. They have the space pen.
It's a lot less intimidating than like a Michaels. Michaels has too much tinsel. I find tinsel distracting.
Too many buttons. No, I have, I remember back when I was teaching and just like so in my head all the time, like grading papers and just getting overwhelmed with it. And we were painting a room of our house and I remember standing at Guiry's, because they also do house paint, like very high quality.
Yeah, it's like Home Depot meets Michaels.
Except a higher level of all of it. Really, it's much nicer paint than you're going to get at Home Depot. And I remember standing there watching the guys mix and paint and test and paint and having painted on their overalls. And I was doing a lot of pottery at the time and longing more for that. I didn't have it at my house yet, my kiln. And I remember going, I just want to work at Guiry's. I just
want to mix some paint.
Guiry's.
I love an industrial paint shaker, a 5-gallon paint shaker.
Yeah, I know. And I just wanted to
house.
do that. I had a friend when we were raising babies. No, I think Guiry's is just Colorado, man. That's cool.
It's a cool store.
It is a cool store. I think that I had a friend when we were raising babies who used to say she just really, really envied the UPS guy because he just got to check things off his list. And at the end of the day, wash his hands and go home and knowing his job was done. Because you're your mom at home with a baby and all this is happening. You never feel like your job is done. Never stops. And then the UPS guy comes and delivers you a wonderful baby present from your family or something. And you just watch him leave with this envy. Like, oh, I wish I could just check things off my list and go home at the end of my day.
I'm sure the UPS guy feels exactly the way she does, which is it never stops. There's always more packages.
So much mail. It never stops. Seinfeld. Are you petting that cat?
Yeah.
I can't see it. But I believe it.
I loaded the cat up on catnip like an hour before the podcast started today. I don't know if it was a good idea or a bad idea.
I think that in our rehearsal times, we learned that that's a terrible idea. He's all fine and tripping out for a minute and he's relaxing. Pretty soon he's going to start tripping balls and jumping off the refrigerator.
Well, he doesn't get up on the refrigerator in his fancy new calming suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he mostly, he'll go and lay on the chair for 8 hours, and then he'll get up and he'll eat something, and then he'll lay on the chair for 8 hours.
It really sounds like a good life in a way.
It does. No mail there.
He doesn't freak out like that like he used to now that the calming suit is on him?
No, he really doesn't. He will still get up in the middle of the night and scratch the aluminum trash can, make a terrible noise, but he is not very athletic right now. He's not jumping from countertop to table.
He's not doing all that parkour that we're used to seeing.
Hardcore parkour.
Okay, and I think you mentioned to me earlier that it's supposedly calming, this suit, but you think it might be a depressant or perhaps restrictive.
Right. I can't tell if it's a calming suit or a depressing suit because mostly he just sits calmly and looks sad.
I don't have many more words on that except I will repeat what I'm on record as saying, and I mean it until further notice. Love not living with an animal.
Yeah, still a pain in the ass.
But you like it. You're sitting there petting him.
I'm just glad
that's supposed to bring your heart rate down.
I'm just glad he's not rubbing up against my microphone. He really likes to rub himself between the microphone and the pop filter.
I know, we've heard that. We've got it on record. I think he's your comfort pet right now.
He's my only pet right now. He's my comfort.
I know, but
turkey.
I don't think he's just a pet.
Horse.
No, I think he is he's providing a specific role for you right now. He's giving you comfort.
Sure.
All right. I am surprised
and frustration.
By that. I thought you didn't like animals.
I don't. I think I'd be happier without a cat, but I
don't think so. You are loving that cat right now.
Earlier,
you're petting it.
I know the things I can change. I know the things I cannot change.
That's
I cannot
right.
get rid of my girlfriend's cat.
No, we have discussed, and you have the wisdom to know the difference.
Right. So I can accept this
Way to
cat
go.
as a housemate.
Serenity now. Yeah, you can.
Serenity now.
It's a good. It's a good roommate, really.
Do you remember that in Seinfeld where?
Do I remember it? That's what I was quoting. I just wasn't doing the full. Jerry Stiller. Yeah, I remember it. I think about it all the time because I am a person who has to do things, Andrew.
Do you have a mantra like serenity now?
Similar. I mean, sure. I have been, for a while with the yoga therapist.
Yeah.
It changed my life, truly, and I will never regret it, and it means a lot to me. She would give me mantras I couldn't understand. What language would they have been in?
They like to say, all the yoga people I know like to say, oh, it's Sanskrit.
I know. It might have been they like to say that. I don't know what it was. It probably was Sanskrit. Anyway, she would give me mantras that I didn't understand, and I would just go, all right, fine, sure, I'll do that. I mean, of course, there's a lot of those. But, I mean, I'm a person who, I'm sure like many of us, when I'm driving, I sometimes have to remember my breath because I'm getting angry and anxious. And then sometimes, just the standard basic ones, like sometimes it's just helpful if I'm spinning to just go, right here, right now, whatever, breathe in. Happiness, breathe out bullshit, whatever. Yes, of course, the mantras help us all the time. But often because I'm doing that to myself, I'm going, okay, hey, let's let that go. Let's focus on the breathing. Let's do a little mantra. I often think in the back of my head, there is always Jerry Stiller yelling, serenity now! I'm say. That's actually one of the tribunal in my personal head. We've got the people judging, worrying about us being too happy. We've got the people telling us we're too much. We've got the people telling us stop showing off. I do in my head. And then I've got Jerry Stiller yelling Serenity Now when I think about a mantra.
All the little personalities.
Yeah, but right? Yeah, of course I remember it. Do you want to? I'll try this. I'll put it out there. You asked me in a recent episode when you accused me of being a hard ass and a goof around on the microphone, and the two did not comport. And you asked me who my examples
really
were.
Bothered you, huh? We're still talking about it weeks later.
It's just very confusing to me because I don't think that it is that. I don't think the two are that dichotomous. Fine, you do. You explained it very well. I'm not really. Then I was embarrassed when I listened to it. The truth is to not have a list at the ready of badasses. Because they are. I just brainstormed this for a second.
Okay, I want
Joan
to hear your
Rivers,
list.
Elaine Stritch, Gilda Radner, Lorraine Newman, Candice Bergen, even Mary Tyler Moore throwing her hat up in the air was a badass. Rosemary, Penny Marshall, Lucille Ball, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, Rashida Jones, Lisa Lampanelli, Amy Schumer. Why didn't those should be at the tip of my tongue? And there are many more. That was 10 seconds of just writing the first ones that came down to my mind in no particular order.
Bunch of badass goofballs.
Come on. Yes. And I'm embarrassed that I couldn't say it because there is this underlying sentiment, question, are women funny?
I'm no. That's not the question.
There is the question in society. I like that you said, okay, thank you for that being the no. I thought you were saying, are women funny? No.
You just took that and you made it a much larger issue. The
Every one of those women fights that every day of her life. Can women be funny?
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about here is basically my perception of you as an 18-year-old, or I don't know when I met you. I was probably 17.
14.
14.
15. It was
maybe.
10 years ago. You were a freshman.
Holy shit.
That's like my first cold opening for this whole show. That's stunning to me,
10
your
years
memory.
ago?
I say we met 10 years ago.
I get a new thinking box.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You've heard that tape like 100 times and already you've forgotten. Every day you forget it. It's amazing.
But
It's
anyway,
Groundhog Day in your brain.
we're talking about how you as a teacher at a high school in charge of a lot of rebellious youths put yourself out there as being a hard ass, and then you're just over, goofing around and, talking about being old and chin hairs and those two in my brain are so far apart.
Okay, yeah.
and don't
Okay,
work
that's
together.
true. Right.
And you're taking this to be, oh my goodness, women can't be funny. Which is not what I said.
No, I was just embarrassed that when I'm not. The only reason that is a segue into women can't be funny is because I was actually embarrassed. And when I listened to that tape of the engineered version, shout out Jonah, of that episode, I went, because I said, I don't know that I'm prepared to answer that. No, I don't have an answer right now because it actually took me by surprise. And then I went, I should, as a woman, back on my feminist high horse here at 50, I need to have that list and better on the tip of my tongue. Of course, there are badass women who also like to be funny. I'm just saying that is what that touched. But, okay, so back to that. Okay, the character of being a hard ass is the act I put on. Teaching high school, of course, you have to do that. You have to develop some character. You can't survive it. Being a mother, my boys are the ones who gave me the ludicrous song as my theme song. Being a mother, you have to adopt. Right? I mean, that's right. When I have been in my life in roles of authority with much younger people, I put on that role. Right? I'm not a hard ass, and the truth is, I don't even when I did that crowd work, I don't actually. I like slaying those kids, as I talked about. I like burning them down. Of course, that can be funny, but that's not really the comedy that's not what I truck in. That's honestly not usually the thing that makes me laugh the most in life is insult comedy. That just seems mean. But it's fun to be mean to teenagers because they need it.
It's good for them.
I think we've put that to rest. And that was in it. And apologies, deep apologies. I'll do a Leslie Knope thing the next episode and apologize to them one by one and in alphabetical order. All of the women comics I did not shout out in my 10-second list that I wrote. I'm telling you, this was my follow-up on my own personal deficit because I find it important to point out when I suck, that I should have at the tip of my tongue my favorite women comics who are also badasses. Duh, I do. I just was taking them off.
You have a weird standard that you hold yourself to.
Right?
I encounter a lot of people who have these really strange rules for themselves and ideas of what they ought to be or what they should be that they fall short on.
You said a mouthful, kiddo. Yeah. Human condition.
It's like,
go
hey,
ahead. Tell me more about that.
Just give yourself a break. You're doing fine.
You don't understand that phenomenon as we have previously discussed. That's like most people. What does it sound like to you? People who beat themselves up, that's a mystery to you.
Totally.
Tell me how it feels. Tell me how you hear it, perceive it.
I don't understand. What's the opposite of self-love? Self-hate?
Hate? It's usually the opposite of love. Self-hatred, self-criticism, self-doubt.
Self-doubt.
Bad self-image, bad self-confidence, those kinds of things. You don't understand it.
I don't. I mean, I understand it that I've seen it enough. But there's also, I guess, I do remember being in high school and being uncomfortable with my body, being uncomfortable with, looking silly in front of a girl, being uncomfortable with a lot of things. But I don't understand someone who ought to be an adult, who's matured out of, I thought that was something you're supposed to mature out of, but a lot of people carry it with them forever, and it doesn't go away, and it gets worse. And it's like, good Lord, give yourself a break. Everyone else loves you. Everyone thinks you're great, and they just never cut themselves a break.
It's adorable that this is a revelation to you that is what most people do their whole lives long. Oh my God. We keep trying to get off of this topic, but honestly, what is it like to live in your brain? God.
Super easy.
I went to the East Coast to write my book, to finish the writing of my book, to put it together. And I got really very far. And then I had to come home and do some more stuff. But anyway, got out there, like literally set up my little writing station, my typewriter in my mind. It was a Brother typewriter, or Ernest Hemingway style typewriter is my computer. And my writing corner and my thing. I went and had my manuscript printed at the local print shop because I knew I was going to wait to do that when I got there so I didn't have to bring the whole thing with me, but I wanted a paper copy. In fact, that was a great moment of approval from the universe, we'll call it again. The guy at the copy shop, when I went to pick it up, it was like a $36 order or something. I had printed all these papers. And he said, "Hey, I saw the subject of what you're writing about. It's on me." He had teenagers.
That's awesome.
I know. It was my first thing. So got all that done, put my binder together, got my sticky notes out. Okay. All right, here we go. Cracking the knuckles, fingers on the keyboard perched above them. And I went, and then I called you, and I was standing at my window in my little weird gray garden style mansion in the Berkshires where I was nannying. And I said, "Andrew, I don't know how to start. I don't know how to start." And you said, of course you don't remember, you said, "Well, Mrs. Filholm, I've heard that writing a book is kind of like birthing a baby, so there's going to be some labor pains. You just got to start." And I went, all right,
God,
thank you.
So wise.
I know. And I sound so simple-minded because I went, okay, thank you. And then I just sat down and started writing. Like, that's a funny thing that I need that amount, right? It must be that I'm close to something. Actualization, self-confidence, if I need to call and get that level of advice?
I really believe that just about everyone has a very strong sense of how things should be or what they ought to do. But it always takes that extra step of someone else vocalizing it in order for them to implement it or to make it happen.
Well, that's nice that you see it as that simple because having spent time with a lot of young people, there are a lot of young people, you've heard me complain about this over the year. It's not just young people. There are people of all ages who come to me for sincere advice, and then I give them advice, and then they don't take it. That's frustrating. That's what I'm saying. I'm a good patient. I'm a good advice seeker to you because you can say to me, like, seriously, something off the back of a cereal box, and I go, okay, thanks. Yeah, that's right. And I just go, that's all I needed. Thanks, Andrew.
Did you ever, I remember in sports, I had a lacrosse coach, and he said, I think you ought to go play baseball. Mm-hmm. But in terms of athleticism, the nice thing they would say about me was always, he's very coachable. Mm-hmm. 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 I'm good at taking that advice that people give me. Mm-hmm. As are you.
I know that sounds like a backhanded compliment, but being coachable is an important thing.
It is an important thing.
In your case, it also meant it was a euphemism for not the greatest athlete. Mm-hmm. I remember asking you, as really for real part of research for my book, I asked it of a lot of people who were sort of gifted golden children. How did you versus me and others that I know? How did you avoid the need to self-destruct? Because a lot of gifted children go through that period of I'm just a regular guy. I'm gonna reject my gifts. It's the Jonah and the whale thing. I'm gonna get Botox in the crease on my forehead and spit in God's face because I'm giving away my gifts. A lot of adolescents go through that. They reject their gifts and they rebel. And others of you do not. You keep going and you keep achieving in good ways, and you truly do not seem damaged by it. And the several of you that I asked about that. And how do you handle the haters? That was my other thing. How do you handle being the golden child? How do you handle being number one in the class and not having that be a burden? Because it was to me, it has been to others. And there were a lot of answers. Usually, the bottom line of all of them was we had very strict parents who gave us really good boundaries. But you said, I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't good at every single thing. And so you felt that like the perception in your adolescent phase is that people could accept you because you weren't the best at everything. That was your perception of it at age like 19 and 20, whether you remember it or not.
I would argue, this is my perception
against
now.
Your version of
No. I would also tell you that I had a little bit of rebellion and self-destruction, but it was a different way, right? I bought a motorcycle instead of a car. I find myself in a similar position right now. I have a motorcycle and no car.
Yeah, you like to go fast.
And I rode it down the highway at 130 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, and we've talked about that, and yeah, and
that's full on. That's full on teenager craziness. Because now, a few short years later, I have no desire to do the same thing.
I remember you telling me about, again, how you have the ability to sit back with this third eye and watch yourself is stunning. I remember you telling me the age that was changing because my boys were becoming teenage drivers who drove too fast and too which either you witnessed or I talked about or whatever, probably both, and I remember you saying at whatever age, you're usually one would think it's going to happen around 25, 26, but you saying, oh my gosh, that need for speed, that reckless thing, I can feel it waning.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's amazing.
Always been a little bit ahead of my time. Yeah. Right now, the idea of going to dinner at 4 p.m., being home, going to bed at 7, being like a proper senior citizen sounds so appealing to me right now. I love that.
So weird. Yeah, that's funny. That has been, boy, you've changed a lot in the past few years. I mean, just look at the schedule of your life, right? Going from college to adulthood.
It is insane.
It is insane.
I used to stay up at all hours of the night and drink way too much.
I know it.
And now I get a little anxious if I'm not in bed by 10.
I know. Yeah, that is, and part of that is natural progression of life. I mean, a lot of that is, and you described it earlier as like, I thought there would be a time in life when I felt less awkward. Can you tell me a little bit more about feeling? I think you still feel sometimes awkward or nervous or on guard going into a place. I've seen you kind of do a thing where you're aware, but you're on guard is what happens. Do you generally feel like you walk into a place and you belong there? Or do you feel like you can walk in and disappear into the furniture there if you're
I think a lot about other people, and I always compare myself to other people. I think, oh my goodness, there are 10,000 people who walked into a job interview today, and they're all fine. They make it out fine. They're okay. So this thing to me is no big deal. And in the grand scheme of things, this is a tiny blip on the radar. I'm really good at minimizing things until they don't bother me so much.
I find it fascinating. I mean, what you just said, Andrew, God, we're trying to get away from this topic. This is a show about you, and you hate that. But this is fascinating to me. You just said, I compare myself to other people a lot. And I went, oh, you do? Tell me more about that. In my head, I was thinking that because don't we all?
In order to minimize my fears and worries.
In order to prove how normal and fine everything is. The rest of us go, I'm always comparing myself to other people. Is she fatter than me? Do I look like that? Oh my God, she has prettier legs than, oh my God.
You grew up on Hawaii. Aren't you supposed to be a little bit more like
to be
chill?
In your brain. I'm pretty chill. I always feel like I belong in a place.
Yeah, but you've got a like internal.
an internal little worried bird pecking at my brain, telling me
That's
it might
the
not be
one.
enough. It's getting better, Andrew. We've talked a lot about that in therapy too. I'm coming. I know. I am also getting to the point where it might come from like a kind of phoenix from the ashes. You burn up your life and stuff, like you're getting a divorce, and you just realize, you know what? I got nothing. No one should come to me for advice on anything again, because all I do is wreck shit. You get to that place where it's like, oh, far be it from me to say how you should run your life, right? Maybe from that, like I said, ashes, that's a burn up. That's a pretty negative place to be coming from. Maybe from that you rise and you start realizing, and I think I'm getting there a little bit, back to the Tao Te Ching. Why would I give one shit about how anybody else live their life? And why would they have advice on how I should live mine? I don't mean that in an anarchy way. I mean, like, of course, we're going to have to agree on some rules for society. You know, I believe in civilization, Andrew. I believe in laws. I believe in rule following within reason. And I'm not kidding. There is a new thing. It is sad that this is happening at age 50, but to go, I don't care. I mean, it's just like stuff that used to get under my skin about other people, like really get under my skin, and I would like process it. Why is this person like that? Why do they do that? Why do people act this way? I feel like I have a lot less of that now, and it's just like, people are people.
Isn't it funny how things change and go away? For example,
It is funny.
I had the privilege of going on a trip to Honduras to see a friend, and this friend was building water treatment facilities down there.
He's a no good do-gooder.
He's a no good do-gooder, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of those. I don't know how they get so inspired to help other people.
I know you hate helping people.
And down there, I had like two main worries. One was that I was going to poop in some place inappropriately, because stomach problems are a real problem. And the other was that there wasn't another. It was just that I was going to poop somewhere where I wasn't supposed to.
Wait. I have a question about that. Does that mean poop somewhere like you didn't know you weren't supposed to poop there, and sorry, or I'm going to blow up right now and I'm going to have to pull over by the side of the road, or in this public place I'm going to poop publicly in my pants?
I went down there and I had basically a week of stomach troubles.
Sure.
Where it was mind of its own. I didn't have any say into whether or not I was using the restroom. It just happened. So that was a real worry. And that gets rid of so many other things in your mind. At least right now I have control of my bowel.
Yeah, it's the
My bowels? Are those plural?
bowels.
Bowels.
I think.
Plural. Okay. But the other thing down there is we had to take showers with a bucket. So there was this trough that we, dipped a bucket in, freezing cold. You pour it over your head. Nobody down there has hot water. Like, that's a totally different level of just not even struggling to survive, but surviving at a...
What matters?
Right. Comfort level is not a thing, right? You're every moment of the day is uncomfortable in some way. And that makes things like, worried about your appearance or all the other things that we're concerned about seem so stupid.
So I didn't
I
think
feel like
when
a
you
goddamn
said...
champion when I'm not pooping.
Excuse me?
Unintentionally.
Excuse me? Say that again, please.
I said, I feel like a goddamn champion when I'm not pooping unintentionally. Because I've had the situation where I haven't been a champion.
I have two things to say about this. One is quick. I often find it, I have through my life, I don't know, probably in adolescence, I often find it disturbing that in most, especially novels, because I was more of a reader than other entertainment, like nobody discusses their bowels. Like Jane Eyre, there's never, surely back in the day, like where to find a toilet on a cross-country carriage journey to go find St. John or Mr. back to Heathcliff. Huh? What's that?
I said you wonder.
You wonder, and they have chamber pot. I mean, I'm not kidding. That's very George Costanza of me to go, what's the deal with the toilet habits of the people in the Victorian novels? Modern, of course, postmodern, now we don't have any norms. And so I think about a movie like Bridesmaids where it's very much.
Oh, that's the
there's a pooping in the streets
comedy.
thing. Okay. Secondly, I did not know when I laughed out loud at whatever was that you were saying, because I thought it was silly, but it's not. You have brought us to Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
That's right.
Yeah. And so if you are, and isn't that the true story? If you are worried about your physiological needs like food, water, warmth, and rest, or health, or pooping in an appropriate place, your basic needs are maybe not fulfilled, and you therefore do. That's right. You don't care about false eyelashes or your manicure.
I've got the show art for this episode. I've got to dig it up. So I was on this trip over my birthday.
Yeah.
And I woke up on my birthday and just pooped myself. It was
pooped yourself?
Extremely uncomfortable. Yeah, that's what I mean by pooping unintentionally. Literally shitting your pants. I woke up. It happened. And anyways, my buddy, my dear friend who I was down there visiting, he got me the birthday gift that I think I may be most thankful for. He walked down to the store and he bought me a bottle of Pepto. And it was exactly what I needed. It made me so happy. I took it. I basically chugged the whole thing. I went back to bed for 6 hours and they woke me up with a birthday cake. I don't know where they found like white icing in this place where everything is covered in mud. But they had this beautiful birthday cake.
Do you think there was like a senora who baked it in her home and whipped it out of, was it handmade or was it from, there wasn't a store? There wasn't a bakery?
There certainly wasn't a bakery in this place where we were building the water treatment facility. I don't know where it came from.
But it really is a miracle. From
I couldn't eat it.
The heavens. Oh, you couldn't?
I mean, I took some bites because
don't be a dick.
Right.
They made you a birthday cake.
But whew, that was a rough trip.
You're going to use that cake as the show art?
The show art
and it said Feliz cumpleaños?
Me, unshowered, after several days of being in Honduras with a lot of stomach problems. That's our show art.
It's a picture of you or it's a picture of the cake?
Me behind the cake. Well, Mrs. Filholm, now that we've discussed all manner of miles.
We're not going to end on poop. I mean, I know we brought the ruckus tonight, and I know that's what you're trying to ask me. But let's just really just quick. Okay, let me just look up what ruckus means, okay? Like, what does that word mean? Yeah. What do you think? Don't look it up.
Too late. A disturbance or commotion.
We brought it. Way to go.
It was definitely disturbing and full of commotion.
It was disturbing, full of commotion. We talked about you a lot. Your favorite. Bye, Andrew.
Goodbye.
Thank you.